Welcome back to the Love Cafe, or if it's your first time here, take a seat, we'll be with you shortly. Today we're cooking the first of 4 Roman pastas that we'll be looking at on the Love Cafe, Cacio e Pepe. We're from, well, Rome. Italy, the home of Ferraris, fashion, people that stand like this. And Melbourne's adopted child, Franco Cozzo.
Grandsire, where?
Righto, enough messing around. First thing we need for Cacio e Pepe is an apron. Then we need butter, we need oil, we need cacio or cheese, spaghetti, I'm using tonarelli. Of course we need our pepe. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is get our pot of water boiling and let's get some salt in there. Now, in a lot of recipes you'll see that it asks for your water to be salato come il mare, which is as salty as the sea. But we're just doing a heavy pinch today because the cheese that we're using, the Pecorino Romano, is quite salty, so we don't want to over salt the water that our pasta is going into. So let's head over and we'll grate some cheese now. So this cheese, Pecorino Romano, is a sheep's milk cheese. It's similar to Parmigiano Reggiano, however that is a cow cheese. Pecorino is a lot younger. It's only aged for about 5 to 8 months, whereas Parmigiano I think is a few years. And Pecorino with its young age is usually a sharper kind of flavour, whereas Parmigiano is a bit nuttier and more earthier, so they say. I'm looking for about a cup of cheese. If you don't have a microplane, that's fine. Use the finest setting on whatever grater you have, or just grate it. If worst comes to worst, chuck it in a food processor, I guess. Grated all that one small block that I had, and it looks to be about enough for a couple servings, but we can sort of play this by ear a bit. So I haven't even started using the other cheese that I have, and for when you're shopping, this is about 50 grams, or this is 50 grams, I just measured it. So another thing that we're doing while our water is boiling is heating up a couple tablespoons of olive oil and toasting our pepper. This is a technique that in my research I found from Kenji Lopez, who makes plenty of great recipes and that I'm always referring to. So get yourself a good quality olive oil. I'm using one from a local winery and build from there. So a couple tablespoons of oil in the pan, and then we'll go about a large teaspoon of cracked pepper. So we'll just heat that up until everything becomes fragrant and then turn the heat off. Another way to do this, if you don't have the oil or you don't have the butter that we're adding in later, is to just toss the pasta water in through with the cheese. So you don't have to have all these sort of extra things, they're just little creature comforts. So it should be good. So we've heated our oil and our pepper, so that is going to create a bit more earthy flavour in the pepper, according to Kenji. And we're going to chuck our tonarelli in. I'm not going to say how much, because I really don't know. Much like with rice, I think you're always going to end up with more than you bargain for. But that's the way it is, I guess. So tonarelli, in looking at recipes, was just a style of pasta that kept coming up. The only real difference that I could tell between spaghetti and tonarelli is that tonarelli has these hooks in them from the way that it's dried. And that's what the guy in the store said as well, so I guess we're just going to go with that. At the end of the day, just go for spaghetti. So we're going for al dente here, which means firm to the bite, so a little bit of crunch in the spaghetti, and that should take a few minutes, and then we'll be ready to put our pasta together. Just keep the spaghetti moving, just keep it moving. Let's see if it's done. I just want to get one. Not quite, a bit too firm.
That's grim.
Righto, let's go for a second try. Oh, jeez, it's hot. Al dente. Alright, let's get it all in the pan, and then we'll add in our butter and our cacio, bit more pepe, bit more cacio. Let's get things moving. Alright. And I swear, if you throw out this pasta water, I'll be livid. I'll be so upset. It's just not cricket, alright? Just get it all in there. Right, mate, yeah, bloody. Just use tongs so we don't worry about if we get some water in there. The oil's not hot anymore, so we're not going to start a fire. Oh, bonza. Look at that starchy water, Corey. Looks good, mate. So when we add in some of that into our, what's going to be our sauce, it'll get nice and thick from the starch that's come off our pasta. Let's just toss around the oil and the pepper for now. So we're just cooking with residual heat at the moment. A couple tablespoons of butter in there. Let's get some cheese in. Now doing this in a separate pan helps everything to not sort of clump together. We just use our tongs instead of tossing. All right, so all of our cheese is in. Now let's start to sort of try and make it into a sauce. So after switching to a spoon as well, and I just kept mixing and adding a little bit more pasta water. I think I used all up about 3/4 of a cup probably. We've come to a sort of saucy consistency, which is looking pretty good. And now we're ready to plate up. All right, I'm gonna try and do this Babish style. Well, I guess this really started on Chef, didn't it, with Jon Favreau. But with a carving fork, twist up a little bit of our Pepe. Oh, we lost a bit. Casualties. Oh, look at that little nest. Hit it with a bit more cheese and a bit more pepper. Bon appetit. Make sure you serve this one up immediately so the sauce doesn't harden too much. Things that I should have done is that I should have put the oil in the pepper pan on a bit later so that it didn't take out so much heat from the pasta. But you do need a warm pan to sort of toss everything together, so maybe just try and time it a bit closer to when your pasta finishes, or at least keep heating the pan. I ended up putting a bit too much cheese in, so if you're doing 50 grams of cheese, just put in a lot more pasta. I didn't even really have enough to stretch between myself and my brother, so maybe you're better at estimating your pasta quantities than I am. Nevertheless, have a crack at home, go grab yourself some pecorino or parmigiano. It might be a bit of a challenge to get the quantities right, but either way, it'll be great. Thanks for watching, have a good one. Cheers. Grande Svendita, Franco Cozzo, Branza Wicca and Futescray.